The thoughts, views, and comments expressed by Sidebar, its guests, callers, and advisors are not necessarily those of the management, ownership, or production unit of ILS Verizon Media Group. Sidebar, a 103.5 The Beat podcast, is a production of ILTV Studios and may not be reproduced or represented, in part or in its entirety, without the express written consent of Verizon Media Group. Sidebar is the intellectual property of Verizon Media Group. Copyright 2024. All rights reserved.
Welcome to Sidebar, 103 The Beat podcast powered by ILTV. I'm Stephen Hanna. Today we are at the Dundas Theater for the Performing Arts, and we're talking with Dr. Nicolette Bethel and director McKinney. Let's get into it. Today we are talking about the arts in Bahamian society. How did you get involved with, particularly, I'm going to say, the performing arts, live theater? How'd you get involved with it?
Dr. Tony Francis was the catalyst that brought me here. She taught me an English class and offered extra credit because, of course, as a young college student, we're not going to classes. We're doing everything else, having fun.
That's not the version of, that's not the version of college I had,
doing
but okay.
the things that college students do. And although you're capable, you're falling behind. And so, of course, I took advantage of the opportunity to get some extra credit. And it was to audition for Shakespeare in Paradise.
Okay.
I wasn't interested in being on stage, but I'm good at organizing things. I'm good at keeping things on track, making sure that people show up for things. So I said, is there anything I can do backstage? And I was brought on as the assistant director to Horn of Plenty that you starred in, directed by Keith Wisdom, at the National Art Gallery.
Right. I remember Keith.
That was the first
Dr.
time.
Wisdom.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that was the first time, and I've been a part of it ever since.
Did you have any experience with, I don't want to say drama, but like production or anything before that?
No, I always loved literature. From in school, I loved all of the plays that we were reading. I enjoyed English language. I loved teaching. I loved getting involved in poetry and such, but that was it. I didn't know this existed beyond the books.
I like that you said that is it, as though that wasn't a big deal, because I spent all of my childhood and half of my life, I would say, probably more than half of my life, I did not like Shakespeare. I didn't like literature. I think once after grade 9, I stopped taking English literature. And so having a passion for it was never a thing for me. I always saw it as boring. But you didn't.
I did not. And what really brought it to life for me was the classes that we took at COB, which is now UB.
I'm not gonna hold you if you say COB.
Yeah.
I'm not one of those people.
For a long time, I thought Shakespeare particularly was just some boring, drab, what is this man talking about kind of thing. But it was because we were doing it wrong. Our teachers were teaching it wrong. It's supposed to be done out loud. It's a performance. The only way that you can really enjoy it, get into it, understand it, is seeing it. And it wasn't until Marjorie Brooks Jones had the class where we started reading the Shakespeare pieces out loud that I was like, hold on, that's what he's saying? Wait.
Because it makes more sense when you hear it.
Please, like, swing this back so I can, like, wait, what? Did he just say that to somebody? And then it made sense. Because that's how Shakespeare meant for his work to be understood, by hearing it out loud.
Right. I do remember the first time that Shakespeare made sense to me. It wasn't in class. There was like the Royal Shakespearean Company did a version of Julius Caesar, but they put it in Africa.
Okay.
Right? And so suddenly the context made sense to me. All right? Now, as a person, you live in the Bahamas.
Yes.
I'm not going to assume that every Bahamian feels the same way that I feel about Shakespeare. But assuming that every Bahamian feels the way that I feel about Shakespeare, how do you convince people to even try it? and that it's not going to be boring?
So Gordon Mills worked with me on, well, I worked with Gordon Mills on a production of Merchant of Venice.
Okay.
And his adaptation of Merchant brought the setting to the Bahamas, and it changed many of the references. Shylock was a Haitian, and
Which makes sense.
right. And that really connected it for so many Bahamians, for them to understand exactly what this play was about. And Philip does it as well. When we did Othello and when we did Macbeth, changing certain references to make it applicable to the Bahamas makes the production more relatable. However, I found that, and this was by all means an experiment when we started working on Richard, that it wasn't just changing a few words here and there, changing the setting, but taking whole chunks of the play and then adapting it to our Bahamian Creole English so that people can hear themselves understanding the plot, telling the story, and then interspersing the scenes to make it authentic and true to Shakespeare, while at the same time remaining authentic to us as Bahamians, is what brought that connection, especially for students, because they were like, oh, wait.
What are they saying? That's what I always say.
And it's not just the students, even some of the actors who are true to Shakespeare and they enjoy working on Shakespeare. It's difficult.
Yeah.
And most of the words, well, not most, but some of the words are archaic. Some of the references we don't know, but adaptations that, and ones that I work on, I try to make it as relevant and applicable to our setting, and then bringing in our language as much as possible so that it runs smoothly, it's easily understood, and we still don't lose the plot, what Shakespeare really meant to say.
So for you, what is your favorite? Do you prefer adaptations, transliterations where like people will be like, well, what if we just switch this entire passage into something? Or do you prefer to keep it classical?
I prefer adaptations right off the bat, because context makes so much more of a difference when we make it relatable to ourselves. And of course, there's some transliteration in there as well, because I can tell you there are some words that you simply can't take out that I literally got to spell out in Bahamian Creole English. For example, Plantagenet. In Richard III, Plantagenet
it's
appears.
a child, right? That's like somebody's descendant?
Oh no, that's a royal line of people.
Okay, right. I know it's something to do with children or something.
For a long time, even when we did the first run of Richard III in 2022, everyone was saying Plantagenet. And I didn't correct them, mostly because out of necessity, we just needed to get the play done.
Right.
But this time around, I'm like, let's do justice by Shakespeare as well as by our Bahamian people, because we're still telling a story and we're telling it to our people, but it also has to be relevant to the text, because Richard III is a BGCSE literature text.
Right.
So we can't say Plantagenet when it's supposed to be Plantagenet. So
luckily there's no oral part for the BGCSE exam.
Yeah, but you're still marked on language.
Okay.
And so if you spell it wrong, you can be marked down. So let's say it how it's spelled.
Okay.
And let me tell you, Plan, P-L-A-N, J-U-H.
It's a G, right?
Oh no, because when we put the G, they were still saying G.
Okay. All right.
Net.
It's not a common word.
It's not.
In fairness.
It's not. But we're saying it over and over again. We have rehearsals 5 times a week. You can't keep coming back to me saying it's wrong. And so I changed the script and I literally wrote out the word, how we say it. And let me tell you, it's not been said wrong once since then. Plantagenet.
That's great. I mean, I feel like that's also partially because you have a bit of linguistics in your background.
Yeah, I do.
Right.
Thank you, Shanti Seymour.
Right. I mean, it's okay. Right. So why do you feel, well, first of all, do you think it's important? Because I mean, I'm assuming that
literature,
because not literature, but I mean like the performing arts, in particular Shakespeare, but in general, right? I'm assuming that for something that you are this passionate about, perhaps you find it important. But it could be like how I like Pokemon or something.
Oh no, it's Shakespeare explores themes that are universal, and it will continue repeating itself. The quest for power, the delving and diving all the way away from humanity in your quest for power, love. Everything that we explore in Shakespeare continues to be relevant. And you can pinpoint someone in your life at any given moment while sitting watching a Shakespeare play and say, I know someone just like this.
I would hope that nobody knows somebody like Richard.
It's so sad because when we did
know.
our first reading, someone came back and said, boy, Richard is just like someone I know. And considering the political climate that we are existing in,
That
and
we're
not
finding
just
ourselves in.
the Bahamas,
Right.
but it's not limited to the Bahamas. Just if you are aware, you can pinpoint someone who is willing to do everything that Richard has done
To get power.
to get power.
Right. Right.
And then the toxicity in pursuit of love is just...
Which is the part, I mean, on one hand, so this is almost, I think that Richard
Oh boy.
should be explored as a sympathetic character.
Oh, Christ almighty.
No, because it's like, if we look at it in fairness, right? And there's a lot of different things where I wonder what would it be like if somebody interpreted some of Shakespeare's plays in a different way.
You do know that this is the tragedy of Richard III.
Right, like isn't he the I know he's the main character, but I mean, like, shouldn't we feel sorry for him? Because
Yes,
life
you're
has been
supposed
so
to.
hard for him. But I feel like a lot of times the versions of it that I've seen, like on television or, you know, the regular ones,
Yes,
he's the villain.
he is. He is the
No,
villain.
he's
but he
villainous, but I don't know if
has a
he's the
moment.
villain.
But he has a change. And and we're not putting this in the play because we only have 80 minutes to get
To the
out
point.
what was 360 something pages
Right.
of a production with 52 characters. But the whole point of Richard is his quest for power and what he's willing to do for it. But at the end of it, he suffers.
Right.
You're supposed to feel sorry for Richard.
He suffered from the
Well,
beginning.
I'm not doing that in my play.
You're right, you can though. But
I could.
I
I won't.
That's fine. And then I feel the same way about having. I remember as a kid watching The Merchant of Venice,
Yes.
and The Merchant of Venice is like, oh, ha ha ha, right? Because like you're looking at it in that the way kids look at things, and then I revisited it recently, and I'm like, I think we're reading this entire text. Well, no, not wrong. Let me not say that. But it would be interesting if somebody instead, because there are parts of it where it's like a woman can't be a magistrate in that time.
Right?
So for the justice to be handed out by a woman pretending to be a man, pretending to be a magistrate, this is a farce.
It is.
And they only get away with it because he's
It
looked
is.
down so much in society that there is no justice for him. And so if you play it like a black comedy as opposed to a straight up farcical comedy or whatever, then I feel like there's something more to be said where, because a lot of times people like, you either are sympathetic towards Shylock or you're not at all. He's just a villainous character. But I think
Right.
there's another lane that hasn't been fully explored.
But you do know that, and this is why I love David Burrows. David Burrows delves into a character in a way that it takes it beyond the script. And sometimes, and in this particular occasion, I had to say to him, you have to put down the actual history because that's not what Shakespeare wrote.
Right. Oh,
Because what he found on Richard III made him want to play Richard in such a way that you started feeling sorry for Richard from the beginning. And
Right.
I'm like,
that's how I felt though when I, like, if you listen to Richard's monologue,
pause.
but don't think, but the monologue at the beginning when he's like, now is the
Is the
winter.
winter of our discontent,
Right.
made glorious by the son of York. Yes, because why aren't we at war?
I can't remember, but
They are at war because Edward has made peace with everyone.
right.
And Edward has sold his soul to make peace with everyone.
Yeah, but I
And
like,
he's upset because we're not defending the honor of our country.
right. And I get that he's as passionate, but I get
But,
it. I understand.
but
We don't.
do you go and kill everyone in pursuit of going back to war? Because that's ultimately what he wanted to do, go back to war.
I'm not saying that he made all the right choices. I'm saying that with the choices available to him, he made some decisions.
Some of the best choices
that he could possibly make. But I feel I feel that way about Richard III. I feel that way about The Merchant of Venice. And there's another one where it's like this could go in a different direction.
Yeah.
I can't remember which one it is. It escapes me now. But we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to continue this conversation. You are watching and listening to Sidebar, 103 The Beat podcast, powered by ILTV. I'm Stephen Hanna. We'll be right back.
Now is the winter of our discontent. Made glorious summer by the son of York. Sit before a looking glass, I that am rudely stamped and lack love's majesty, distraught before a wanton ambling nymph, I that am capable of this fair proportion.
Welcome back to Sidebar, 103 The Beat podcast, powered by ILTV. I'm Stephen Hanna. Today we are at the Dundas Theater for the Performing Arts, and we're talking with Dr. Nicolette Bethel and director Erin McKinney about the performing arts in the Bahamas. Let's get into it. Dr. Bethel, I mean, it's great that you're here.
Yeah, thank
Right,
you. It
right.
is great. It's great that you're here.
Thank you. Right. Because I came by to harass Erin about the state of, I don't want to say drama or theater, because I feel like that's limiting it, but the performing arts in the Bahamas at this time. And now that you're here, great. I can get your perspective, because you're one of those persons who would have experienced it when it was what people call its heyday, and then now this ebb that's happening right now. Where do you feel the state is in the country?
I think the tide has turned. I think maybe we were in an ebb, but we're going into a heyday in performing arts. Now, it's interesting in that it's just fundamentally changed, because it's a full generation, I think, down the line in terms of performing arts. But there's so much more. What do I want to say? There's more diversity today. You have stand-up comics, you have influencers, you have theater, you have music, you have a whole range of things. Back in the day, during the heyday, it was dance, drama, and drama was not a profession. Dance was being paid, music was being paid.
Right. It's like concerts and singing and things.
Really, no, the musicians and entertainers in the hotels performing, people, live bands.
Okay.
Right? Before they kind of died out, they were around up until, I don't know, the 90s, and then things changed.
Okay.
So yeah.
I hadn't thought about stand-up comedy as a performing art, but it is.
It is, totally. And then you got spoken word as well. Okay. It's a different world. Your generation can't afford to do this for the love of it. my generation had we had stability of employment because of independence, majority rule.
Right.
The whole economy had opened up, and most people were working government jobs, right? And you know about government jobs,
Right.
but they were not as awful as they were. You used to get off at 5:30. You didn't have to go back. There wasn't that much traffic.
Well,
So
yeah.
you had your stable employment, and then you did theater in
Right.
particular, and maybe concerts and things like that, classical music or jazz or whatever, as a hobby on the side. Now, if you were playing Bahamian music, some jazz, and other things, you could be employed in a hotel, in a club, or whatever, professionally. And dancers definitely were employed professionally in the casinos.
In churches, they thought the idea of liturgical dance was too secular.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And people used to preach entire sermons on it. And I remember, I want to say, it begins with a P. I can't remember her name, but there was a lady who would go around and say, oh, I used to dance in the hotels.
Oh, that's Ann Higgins.
Okay.
Dr. Ann Higgins, because she came off, this is why, she came off the casino floor. She was a topless dancer.
Right. That was said inside many a sermon.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. And she moved into liturgical dance. So you were there right at that moment where, I mean, I don't know. Somebody needs to do the social history of the Bahamas, post-drug era. But the backlash of the drug era was everybody got hooked on a new drug, and that was Jesus.
Right.
And that meant that maybe that impacted, I don't know, maybe that impacted the performing arts, because a lot of the people who were singing, performing on stage in the casino, whatever, were saved and left that life and went into the church.
Right.
And so maybe that's
But see,
a
so
change.
the weird thing for me is because I know when I was growing up, I was introduced to performing art
Through
in the church.
Yeah.
Right.
That's where the people went.
Right. And it's like, and I told Aaron, like, there was a point where almost every church had a theater.
Yeah,
group.
absolutely. That's
Right.
where they went. And that's professional,
Right.
because people were being paid to run those theaters.
What?
The performers, not so much, but the technicians, the entertainment directors,
Right.
the choir directors, they were getting paid. So that's a profession.
Yeah. So in your mind, what was the dip? Where did the dip occur? Because there was still like.
Well, performers were
Right.
never paid, right?
Oh, okay. Well,
The
that would-
technicians were paid.
Right.
The performers were never paid. So in the heyday, I don't know that only the director was paid.
Right.
And that was like a profit sharing. So only if the show made money, the director got paid. And then we started to pay technicians, lighting and sound technicians. And then the church established. So it has its whole praise and worship team.
Yeah.
And those people, I don't know if the singers are paid. I don't know enough.
Sometimes, depending on how big a church is,
Right.
The
choir director is paid.
Right.
The music director is paid.
Right.
That's a position. The others may be volunteer. So
Right.
it's a mix, right, in the church. Today, what's happening is we are seeing a professionalizing, because your generation, like I said, y'all can't afford to do this as a hobby, right? Like I said, we could. Y'all can't.
Which is true and sad, which is also why, like, I have to force myself to find time to write. Otherwise, like,
Yeah.
I feel like
yeah.
I'm losing my mind.
You in the same boat as me. I was like that for
It's
many
like-
years.
And it's like, I gotta, because I there's something that I feel like would like to get out,
Yeah, no.
before you can't get it out.
No, I mean, I think for me, when I found out that the university wanted me to do something more than teach, and I could actually write and research as part of my job,
It's
I was like,
oh, great.
oh, wow,
I've
I can
there's
do
a loophole here.
it. Exactly, I can do this.
So this is a question that I posed to Aaron, right? It feels like a lot of times when we talk about Bahamian theater and Bahamian plays, people think of there's a certain set of classical horns, right? So lead a horse to water and things from that era.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels like the average Bahamian may not consider, it's almost as though they feel like there is no more universal Bahamian stories to be told.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
That's how it seems that they are, right?
Wow.
And not that it is.
Wow.
How can we change that mindset? How do we get them to see what the work that is being done in the theater now?
Well, I think that, I mean, that's new. That's interesting and it's new to me, but it makes sense. I think that we just have to continue to do things like short tales. Like short tales is there to encourage. And what has blown my mind about short tales is that what we get is all Bahamian and so rarely fitting into the mold that the classic mold. And the point is that literature doesn't stay still. You have a classic period in literature, but then you build on that and you go forward and you make things better and you have conversations with it and you riff off of it. Like Ian Strachan has already started to do that, right? No Seeds in Babylon is his dialogue, his conversation with You Can Lead a Horse to Water. It's not necessarily the same subject matter,
Right.
but it is the same, it's the same approach. It's the same storytelling vibe. It's the same feeling on stage. It's the same energy. Different story, different level. And then we have the new generation that y'all don't even know that you're in, but you and Travis and
Right.
this absurdist theater that just, remember when I read your play and I said, have you studied theater of the absurd? And you were like, of the
No,
absurd? And you were like, what is that?
Yeah, because was it Samuel Beckett?
Beckett
That's the
and
one who
Pinter and Stoppard and
Dr. Strachan made us sit down and watch it.
Right.
I can't remember the one where the guy's buried up to his neck in the sand.
Oh, that's probably No Exit, maybe, or
I can't remember
one
which
of the two,
one.
yeah.
But it was a while back.
UNESCO, yeah. But it would just happen at the same time. You and Travis come up with these things that just like, I'm like, okay, something's happening in our country that is breeding absurdity.
Yeah, that is. It is the existence. It is
yes.
its existence.
Exactly.
Because sometimes that's the only way to make sense of it.
Yeah.
But, so for me, there's this issue where I've seen in my time as before I was writing anything serious. It felt like the only things that were ultra profitable were things that are political.
Either political, yes, when you were starting, yeah, like Michael Pintard and all of his political commentary.
Right, so
Sure.
Count It Again and all that.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
so
yeah.
either you had to be already in it.
Yeah.
So, what's it called? Think of it in Friends. Is it
James Catlin and
James
Friends.
Catlin and
Yeah.
Friends, right? So people would come because it's like, well, we have to see
Yeah.
James Catlin
Yeah.
and Friends. And then this is a political thing. It's very current. We kind of get the jokes.
Right.
But it didn't feel like there was anything else that had that big push. And the problem is, I feel like, because the Bahamas is still small, if you do something political, you kind of have to do it almost, you got to choose to do it yourself.
Yeah.
Because it's such a touchy topic where it can go left or right.
Yes. But the other problem that you have right now, the danger that you have that we didn't have,
Sorry.
that James Catlin and Friends or whoever, Michael Pintard and all of them, when you have governments that stay in power for more than 5 years, you can criticize, right? You can be edgy. You can do that because the whole world is not going to flip upside down on you. But that's why you don't know who to criticize because the government changes every 5 years.
You know who to criticize, but you don't know how to criticize,
right? Because really they're all the same. So
it's like and then like you said,
and they move around and they're like little molecules and they change. They do osmosis and they
somebody sent me a picture of someone who is there on their like third political party at this point.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's
And
like
we've got 4 now, 5 you could even have.
you can have as many as you want.
You could just bounce around from political party to political
Right.
party and never change yourself.
How do we get the Bahamian public?
We don't know. We just do it. You don't do it. No, you know, it's a difference. I think maybe that's a difference between between stage and the various screens that we have, right?
Right.
This is just gonna sound weird, but on stage, it's kind of like if you build it, they will come, right? And that's what, and you just don't know. You have no idea. I had no idea Short Tales was going to be what it is. Like, it's one of the most popular things that we do in Shakespeare in Paradise.
I respect your opinion. I feel like you've experienced enough that you have the insight to at least push us in the right direction. How do we get everybody on the same page to not compete against each other while competing against each other?
That's a loaded question, because
well, how do we work together? Let me take the word compete out of it.
That's a good question. I mean, but the reason I say it's a loaded question is that I haven't been in the straw market lately, but I understand that basically every stall you go to, unless you're the weird one, has Hello Kitty or Disney characters or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Everybody does the same thing.
Yeah.
And nobody thinks that if we're all doing the same thing, we're not all going to get the same sales. The person who has the best place is going to get the
Right.
sales, because there's nothing to differentiate anybody.
Yeah.
It's the same thing as to why we set up Carnival in the Bahamas as a money-making situation. We, for some reason, and I haven't clicked it, but for some reason we have, I don't know what it is. We feel as though we have to do what everybody else does to make money, as opposed to do something different and create a demand.
Yeah.
I think that what we do in the theater is we've created a demand. I had a conversation with somebody back in 2005 when we were thinking about, 2008 maybe, when we were thinking about Shakespeare in Paradise. It was sometime in the aughts, as they call them. And somebody said, film is displaced theater. Theater is never going to come back. And I was like, I don't know, maybe it'll will. And now we're at the end of now we're in the 2020s and theater is thriving.
But radio should have gone away.
The way of all flesh,
and
right?
it didn't. And the same way where it's like, you think that, well, what's the point of theater? Because every time the performance is different and it's so...
But that's what it is. Every
Right.
time the performance is different.
Yeah.
You never know what you're going to get. That's the greatness of theater. That's the excitement of theater, right? And part of the value of theater is return audiences. People who come back to see the same show more than once because you never know what you're going to get.
Right.
So there's that.
And also, it's the only place to go get it, and it's communal.
And it's communal, and and the more we are taken over by AI in particular, I think the more theater is going to thrive.
Yeah, because
Because
what is real?
It's not AI, right?
Yeah,
This is going to be real.
Right. What is real? So
Yeah.
so I get that. So I asked her this question: what if you could change anything about performing arts in the Bahamas? If you could wave a magic wand, instantly it happens. What would it be?
I don't know. I'm afraid to say people. I would like to see people be able to make a living out of the performing arts full time without having to work at a day job. That said, the reality of the performing arts, wherever you are in the world, is that it is a very varied life. It's rare that you get a gig that's going to last forever.
Right.
If you're in New York City and you get into Les Miserables, you might work for 10 years.
Right.
Or Hamilton, you might work for 10 years, right? But it's not going to be like working for government,
No.
which is 30 or 40 years. It ain't like that. Okay, unless you're in a soap. And soap operas are no longer a thing,
right? They've been shutting
But
them down.
that's it. From the 50s to the last half of the 21st century, that was where you went if you wanted to get the kind of job stability, right? And pray that you don't get killed off, right? So, but I guess what I'm trying to say is I would like us to have an industry so that individual performers, people like you and me and Aaron, we're more stable. Because when you're
speaking over my life, go ahead.
I am speaking it because you're a producer as well as a writer. You're not just a performer. Like you have a lot of different
hats.
Yeah, you have a lot of different hats.
Because I have a big head. So.
Which is counterintuitive, but whatever. But I guess what I'm saying is that there's always a demand for the people who produce, content creators, if we want to look at it that way. If you're a performer, that's a little different. You're not necessarily a content creator. You're a performer. That's a different thing. I would like to have a world in which performers and content creators can make a living. That isn't to say that I want to transform this community theater that we have here into a professional theater. That's not what I want. But I would like there to be professional companies able to exist. I don't want to do it because in order to be professional, you kind of have to commit artistic suicide somehow because you can do it.
You do it for money.
You do it for money. You can do it. We got millions of tourists. You just have to find that place where you are performing for the tourists all the time, and that's your profession. Mm-hmm. But that's a
different beast.
Yeah, but I would like to see a world in which we have that, and people can make their living like that.
They're knocking down a lot of old buildings downtown. Maybe one of those green spaces becomes a
it's in the air. They're thinking about it. They believe that they might do it. I don't know. But people can make money off of commercial gigs right now until AI eats into that space. But
so I think
there's a fear.
Right. And the fear that everyone should always have isn't that the machine can cook the meal. It's always going to be, so the guy who programmed the machine, is he a cheapskate and switching cheese out for sawdust?
Of course he is.
Right. And so AI might be able to make an explosion for a tenth of the price. But what is the message that's being sent?
Yeah.
And who is the person that's programming the machine to send the message?
Yeah. And if you're already a content creator, if you already have a persona, if you're already a change maker, you're going to have value. You might not be safe and therefore bankable.
Just,
right? As you well know.
Okay, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to continue this conversation. You are listening to Sidebar 103 to Be podcast powered by ILTV. I'm Stephen Hanna. We'll be right back.
Welcome to Paradise Premium Foods, where exceptional taste meets everyday convenience. Right in the heart of Hurricane Hole Plaza, whether you're planning a beachside brunch, an intimate dinner, or simply restocking your favorites, we offer only the finest selection of local and imported goods, handpicked for quality, freshness, and flavor. At Paradise Premium Foods, shopping is effortless, service is personal, and every visit feels like a treat. From gourmet meals to go, to organic essentials and indulgent treats, this is your neighborhood market elevated. Live well, eat better. Discover Paradise Premium Foods, now open at Hurricane Hole Plaza, Paradise Island. Paradise Premium Foods, taste the difference.
When they are stalked by Brackenberry, another of Richard's henchmen.
Welcome back. Let's jump into the show. You talk about Shakespeare being this universal story or telling a universal story. So one of the questions that I had for you was, are there no more stories that are universal to be told in the Bahamas or by Bahamians on the stage, because sometimes it feels like all of the great Bahamian plays were written in the 70s, or that's how we treat it sometimes. There was no question inside that statement. That was just a bunch of words.
No, I understand. And I think we hold our predecessors to a standard. And to be honest, it's difficult to live up to that standard.
Right.
But there are people that are writing fantastic plays since then that represent lived experience that can be universally experienced, like Patrice Francis. We have The First Comes Morning.
And
We have
Gunboy Rhapsody.
We have Gunboy Rhapsody by Ian Strachan. We have No Seeds in Babylon. We have Nicolette Bethel's productions. We have Philip Burrows writing Competent Authority that spoke to the experience of COVID-19 and living under governmental institutions that were making decisions for the people without having experience with the people who were going through. They're all relevant, but do we have the exposure to say that people beyond those who sit in the 80 seats of the walls of this theater can say, this can be put on elsewhere? There are people that come and sit and say, well, this is better than anything I've seen outside of the country. So yes, we stand on the shoulders of the giants, but we're also, you are writing fantastic pieces.
Yes, but I'm not allowed to say that about myself. So.
You are, Stephen,
Yes.
writing fantastic pieces that can exist beyond the walls of Nassau, Bahamas, Andros Island, Freeport, Grand Bahama, that can traverse outside of this country and still be relevant. Because if the Shakespeare Theatre Association can come and sit and watch our version of Richard that you helped me to write, and it includes Bahamian references written in our Bahamian Creole English, and they say this is brilliant, clearly what we have to offer isn't just from the 70s and 80s, 60s, 70s, and 80s.
So how do we get it beyond these walls? Or how do we get what is being done on stage? Because I hear persons talk about how there used to be a time where every church had a theater group, every school used to, and then even when we was in college, you see where people would, instead of doing a PowerPoint presentation, they're like, oh, let's do a sketch, or let's do a... So there was a culture of it at one point, but now it feels like it has almost been like forsaken.
So I think one of the most practical and valuable things that we have undertaken here at the Dundas in collaboration with UNESCO is the project where we're working on professionalizing theater in the Bahamas. And it is working to see how viable it is to put these productions on, small, medium, and large, and ensure that we're able to pay people. Because when you're able to do it in a way that you can say that this is a way of life, then it can move. Because at the moment, we're all doing this as a hobby. Right. And as long as we're doing it as a hobby, we're grounded here and we're stuck. The day that we can say we can take up a production, take it outside of the Bahamas, is the moment when we step outside of the walls. Because we have institutions that are willing to work with us and bring our productions elsewhere. Philip and Nico have done productions outside of the country where they've carried our Bahamian actors. And they've had massive success. But it's not sustainable because we don't invest in the arts. Until we do that, then we can say we have a product that's on par and can compete in the world.
What would you like to see when it comes to production, live theater, stage productions in the country? What would you hope to see?
I hope to see people not coming here after work, but coming here because it is work. That is my ultimate goal, is to say, I'm not working a 9 to 5 and going to the theater after. I want my 9 to 5 be, I'm at the theater. Like I see in so many other countries where people are literally going to work to rehearse. and they're paid and they can make a living and they're sustaining themselves. That is the ultimate goal.
What is your favorite play that you've seen performed?
I have so many favorites. I take them by year. If I have to say what my favorite play was for 2025.
Sure, let's go with that. Because that's safe, because that doesn't involve me. So I won't be hurt if you don't say anything that's in me.
Arsenic and Old Lace, the play that I directed.
Right.
And not because I directed it, because what they did with it after I put down my directorship role and just sat and watched them perform, it was something magnificent that I would want to see over and over again.
It was well cast.
Followed closely by The Fly.
The Fly was good.
The Fly.
The performance, because that's with David Burrows.
The Fly was phenomenal.
Olivia
Dorset
directed it. And
Yes.
then Felicia Rowell.
Felicia, yep.
Felicia Rowell wrote
She
it.
wrote it. Yeah.
See, I was able to pull those names on the back of my head.
And those are, she's one of the people that are writing pieces that transcend just here. Like her writing can work anywhere. I could take that with me and say I'm going to Prague to
Right.
put on a production, and that would be spectacular.
It does have, that definitely was one of those things where it's like, had you guys performed that not in the middle of Short Tales, but as its own thing, no one would have been like, because it kind of has the same flavor as Arsenic and Lace,
Mm-hmm.
and I know part of that is the performance that David brought, and part of that's the direction, but it has that odd couple we could drop, like.
And that's the beauty of Short Tales, because you get to experiment with pieces that you're not sure you want to develop into full length.
Is that what people are doing?
Well, that's where first you do realize that's where First Comes Morning.
Yes, I knew. I remember when it was
And
at
that's the
Shasta.
whole point. Like, put these 10-minute pieces together and see how we can expand on them and make them full length. But certain people,
I just use it as a chance to like.
certain people that can write full lengths, just write the 10-minute pieces and leave them and just run
Right.
away.
No, because
No.
the story. I will give you something for 2026. I mean, the thing is,
The whole point is produce something that works in that short span of time, and then let's see how we can build on it so that we can have greater pieces,
yeah, I don't.
full lengths.
I guess. Don't you like the excitement of saying, I wonder what
No.
madness Stephen will send this year?
No.
Because every year it's like, Stephen, you know this is supposed to be a 10-minute piece.
But what happens after?
This is 30 pages.
But what happens after?
People recall it in their memory, and I get to be one of
It
those.
should be.
those
You
legends.
should work on them so that they can be full length.
We'll see. With that said, if you could convince somebody to come see Richard III, well, first of all, I guess, sell us on Richard III. Why should they? Because it's open to the public. It's not just for students.
It is open to the public. There are 2 public performances on Saturday the 17th at 8 p.m. and Saturday the 24th of January
Right.
at 8 p.m.
Right. Are they not before then, or?
All of the other performances are for students.
Oh,
They're
oh.
all 11 a.m. shows.
Oh, yes. And it would be very weird if a random person just showed up
It would
and
be.
tried to sit among kids.
Unless they're a senior. We accept seniors for the matinees.
Okay. All right. So what would you tell them to convince them why they should come see Richard III?
Well, it's an adaptation that is both true to our Bahamian lived experience, as well as maintaining the authenticity of what Shakespeare wrote. And seeing them merge together and still be as entertaining, because most people believe that Shakespeare is boring, see it as something that's as entertaining is quite an exciting experience. And of course, seeing ourselves present stories that we automatically say that ain't for us because it's Elizabethan English. No, we're able to do both. We're very talented people, and we're able to code switch and give us a little standard English, the Bahamian Creole English, and then the Elizabethan Shakespeare. We're doing it in a way that tells the story and is still fun, engaging, and entertaining for everyone to see. And of course, if you're into power, villainy, and murder, come
Or
see it.
sympathetic characters that are misunderstood. Where can they get tickets? How can they?
Tickets are available at the Dundas box office or on Ticket Tailor /Shakespeare in Paradise Richard III. That's online. Ticket Tailor.
like a sword. Like the people who sew.
TicketTailor.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Ticket Tailor.
All right. Don't worry about that phone.
I
Eric,
need that.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm going to allow you to run off to
Rehearsal?
Yes.
The one that people waiting on?
Yes, don't worry with them. They're behind the curtain. They'll be fine.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for joining us. This has been Sidebar, a 103 The Beat podcast powered by ILTV. I'm Stephen Hanna. True God still.
So you want a space, but not just any space. You need something with a little more potential. So how about 1,000 square feet of room to play with? Superb audio and video production capability, digital LED wall, full lighting grid, and about 124 seats to accommodate a full studio audience with so many other features. Make us your home for your next concert, conference, and so much more. Honestly, the possibilities are endless. Here at ILTV Studios, we'd love to bring your next event to life. So what do you say? Do you want our space?